Welcome to this exercise on the topic of time to consumer and the calculation of payback periods. Here we have two versions of a product, the original and the follow-up version, and some information regarding those two versions. For version 1, we have revenues per year of 3 million and variable costs which make up 50% of the revenues. Additionally, development is considered to take 200 man-months at a cost of 9,000 per month and an additional 1 million special costs for development. Finally, the market cycle for this version of the product is considered to be lasting 10 years. Regarding the follow-up product of version 2, it carries a developing time of only 10% of the original product at the same costs per man-month, but without any special costs. So in other words, this information is changed. There will no longer be special costs. The man-month will reduce to 1/10, so I have only 20 man-months, and the cost will remain the same at 9,000. Additionally, due to later entry, its market cycle is estimated to last only 8 years. So instead of 10, we have 8 years. And revenues are assumed to be 80% of the original. So we have to multiply the 3 millions with 0.8. Well, what are we supposed to do with this? We are just supposed to calculate payoff periods for both products. So starting with the first product, with version 1, I just copied all the information and I'm going to put this into a table. I have in this table yearly values and overall values for the whole market cycle. Whole market cycle, which, as the last sentence says, is supposed to be 10 years. Well, then what I'm going to do is first I'm going to start with revenues. Revenues here I know are 3 million per year, so I put 3 million here, and variable costs are 50% thereof, so 1.5 million. If I have revenues and variable costs, I can simply subtract variable costs from the revenues, giving me a contribution margin here of 1.5 million. Those are yearly values, per annum values. To get the total values, I have to multiply them with the 10 years of the forecasted market cycle, giving me those ones. Then I can talk about fixed costs. Fixed costs here in costs of development. This product, I know I have this development costs, 200 man-months, 9,000 per man-month, so I have to multiply those two, giving me 1.8 million, and I have 1 million additional special costs. So I have to add this on top, giving me 2.8 million. If I take the 2.8 million, that's however something which occurs only once. So my development costs are the development costs based on the whole project, based on the whole product. So they are listed here with total costs. If I want to know how much of the fixed costs I would theoretically have per year, then I have to divide them by 10, giving me here the value per annum. Well, now I have contribution margin, fixed costs, so I can also calculate the profit per year, profit in total. And since I do not have any additional information, I can assume that the contribution margin also gives me the cash flow. Well, once I have the yearly cash flow and the overall fixed or development costs, I can calculate the payoff period, or the point when I will have paid off all the development costs, thinking of them as like a theoretical debt position. In other words, I can also call it the break-even point in the product life cycle. For this, I'm simply taking the fixed costs and dividing them by the cash flow. If I do this, I will get here a value of 1.87, so around 1.9 years, which it takes to pay off the whole development costs. Well, so far for this first original product. Now let's have a look at the second follow-up product. For this second follow-up product, I have this information in the exercise. So I copied this here, and I also copy the information from the last slide on the original product for reference sake. Then with the adjusted aspects, what do I know here? Well, I first know market cycle is now only 8 years. So I have to put 8 here. Revenues are 80% of the original. So instead of 3 million, I have 3 million times 0.8, giving me here the 2.4 million. And there's no additional information on variable costs, so I can assume that variable costs are still 50% of the revenues. So here 50% of the revenues, 1.2 million. If I subtract this from the revenues, I get the contribution margin, which is also 1.2. Again, I can multiply these per annum values with the estimated market cycle, giving me the total. Well, so much for the first part. Now back to the fixed cost. They are based on development. Regarding the development, I have here the information that developing time is only 10% of the original, but at the same costs. So instead of 200 hours, I only need 20 hours at 9,000 still. But I do not have any special costs on top of this. So it's simply 20 times 9,000, giving me the 180,000 in total, again divided by 8, giving me this value per annum. Well, with the contribution margin and the fixed costs, I can calculate the profits per annum and in total. Again, no additional information, so I can assume the contribution margin also determines the cash flows per year. And with the fixed costs of development and the cash flow, I can calculate the payoff period by simply dividing my fixed costs by the cash flow, giving me this value down here. And then I see that due to the distinct reduction in time of the development process, I save a lot of money. I save also a lot of time, since this is only a fraction of the original payback period. Well, that's about it on this exercise. I hope you enjoyed it. I say goodbye and see you next time.